The golden cage. The heir in the opulent Los Angeles mansion, the one perched on a hill with a view that stretched from the city lights to the Pacific, was always thick with unspoken tension. It was a golden cage for Beatrice, an elderly woman whose days were spent in silent endurance. Her son, Marcus Sterling, a tech mogul whose empire was built on apps and algorithms, was rarely home. He believed his wife, a striking young woman named Olivia, was the perfect caretaker, a devoted daughter-in-law who doted on his mother in his absence. But behind closed doors, a venomous current flowed. Olivia, always dressed in impeccably tailored designer clothes, ruled the household with a sharp tongue and a cold gaze. She never raised a hand, not at first. She didn't need to. Her words were daggers, and they cut deeper than any blade. She mocked Beatrice's trembling hands, rolled her eyes at her forgetfulness, and sighed loudly whenever the old woman asked for help. Each cruel word chipped away at Beatrice's spirit, leaving her apologetic for her own existence. The only person who ever pushed back was Lena, a black woman in her early 40s who had worked in the Sterling household for years. She knew the rhythms of cruelty, the way it moved when no one was watching. She had seen Olivia's mouth twist in disgust and heard the hissed insults like poison under her breath. Lena, a quiet guardian, offered small acts of kindness, an extra blanket when Olivia turned down the thermostat, a soft word of comfort when a harsh one left Beatrice shaking. But she held her tongue, just as Beatrice pleaded with her too, whispering, "Please, don't cause trouble. She only make things worse for me." One afternoon, the insults were sharper than ever. Olivia's patience had evaporated. She swept into the sitting room, where Beatrice sat knitting, her hands unsteady. "Still useless," Olivia sneered. "You drop more stitches than you make. You're nothing but a burden." Beatrice's hands trembled, the yarn slipping through her fingers. She said nothing. She never did. Lena stepped forward, her eyes narrowing. "That's enough, ma'am." Olivia ignored her, leaning closer. "You cling to this house as if you belong here, but you don't. You're just a shadow, a piece of furniture too heavy to throw out." Tears welled in Beatrice's eyes. "Please," she whispered. And then Olivia snapped. Her arm shot up, her palm open, fury etched on her face. Beatrice flinched, bracing for a blow she had long feared. But the hand never landed. Lena's body moved on instinct, her arm shooting out to intercept the blow. Her palm met Olivia's with a sharp slap of flesh against flesh, a sound louder than any insult. Lena's stance was firm, her dark eyes locked on the younger woman. "No more," she said, her voice low but thunderous. "You will not lay a hand on her." Olivia's mouth fell open in shock, then twisted with rage. "What did you say? You think you can defy me?" "I do," Lena replied, her voice steady, her arms still outstretched like a shield. "You can mock her, humiliate her, and break her with your words, but you will not touch her. Not today, not ever." Beatrice clung to Lena, sobbing quietly into her shoulder. "Do you know what you've just done?" Olivia's fury trembled with a mix of outrage and fear. "When my husband hears of this, you'll be thrown out of here with nothing." Lena's chin lifted. "So be it. I'd rather lose this job than lose my soul watching you strike her." The air grew heavy, thick with the weight of what had just unfolded. Just then, the front door opened, and a voice cut through the silence. "What's going on in here?" Marcus Sterling stood in the doorway, his gaze sweeping over the scene. His wife, cheeks flushed with rage, hands still hanging in the air, his mother cowering and clinging to Lena, and Lena herself, standing with her arm outstretched, her body a shield. "What is this?" he demanded, his tone low and laced with disbelief. Olivia was the first to break the silence. She turned, her face instantly rearranging into a practiced look of innocence. "Darling, thank goodness you're here. She's overstepping her place. She's been poisoning your mother against us, making her so difficult." Beatrice whimpered, her voice trembling. "No, she was going to hit me." Marcus' eyes widened, but before he could speak, Lena's voice rang out, strong and unshaken. "Don't let her twist this," she said, her gaze fixed on the younger woman. "I've watched her mock your mother, humiliate her, and break her spirit day after day while you were away. And today, when words weren't enough, she raised her hand to strike her. I held her back, and I will stop her again if I have to. Olivia's face turned a deep purple. She's lying. You would believe a servant over your own wife. But Lena's rage was a wildfire now, pouring out in words she had held back for too long. Servant or not, I know what decency means. If you can't care for your own mother with dignity, then say so, because I can. If she has no place here, then she leave with me, and I will treat her like the treasure she is. The words struck the air like thunder. Beatrice gasped, holding on to Lena tighter. Olivia's jaw dropped, her face contorting with outrage. And Marcus, the man who had built an empire, but had failed to see what was under his own roof, stood frozen, his chest rising and falling with uneven breaths. Go with you, he said, his voice cracking. For the first time, he truly saw his mother, fragile and trembling, clinging to Lena not for assistance, but like a drowning woman clings to her lifeline. He saw the trust and the terror in her eyes, a truth he had been too blind to see. The silence that followed was thick and suffocating. Olivia sputtered, her voice shrill. You can't do this. She's your mother. This is our home. But Marcus cut her off, his voice shaky but firm. A home. He took a step closer, his eyes never leaving her. This was my mother's home long before it was ever ours. And if anyone has disrespected her here, it's not the servant, it's you. Olivia recoiled, a flicker of fear flashing across her face. Marcus turned, his voice breaking as he knelt beside his mother. Forgive me, Mama, he said into her ear, tears welling in his eyes. Forgive me for not seeing. Forgive me for trusting appearances over the truth. You will never be alone again. Beatrice dissolved into sobs, her frail body shaking as she clung to both her son and Lena. For the first time, she didn't feel invisible. She felt safe. Marcus rose slowly, his eyes fixed on Olivia. His voice was cold now, stripped of all affection. Pack your things. You will not raise a hand in this house again. Not against my mother. Not against anyone. Olivia's mouth opened, but no words came. Her heels clicked sharply against the marble floor. She turned and stormed out, her silence louder than any scream could have been. The room exhaled. Lena finally lowered her arm, her shoulders trembling from the weight of what had just unfolded. She looked at Marcus, expecting anger or a dismissal, but he placed a hand on her shoulder, his eyes heavy with gratitude. You saved her, he said quietly. You did what I should have done long ago. You stood up when I was too blind to see. For that, I owe you everything. Lena bowed her head, her voice soft. I only did what any decent heart would do. And as Beatrice leaned into her son's embrace, Lena stood close by, no longer just a servant in that house, but the one who had proven what true loyalty means.